Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the iHeartRadio network, the #1 media network in the United States of America. And also Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe according to Big C and them good old boys down south. I also want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America. Thank you for following Big C Sports as well as across the pond in Paris, France, and London, England. And of course, if you saw the NBA All-Star game, they only sang 2 national anthems, and that's the one with "Oh Canada" and the one with "The Land of the Free and the Home of the Brave." Big C, how's it going for you good old boys down south, Big C?
Everything is wonderful. Blue skies, no rain in the forecast. Just looking forward to a wonderful day tomorrow. Also would like to go out and extend a happy birthday to Sidney Poitier, great American actor who turned 90 years old.
Oh, yeah.
Been such a fixture in so many iconic roles, Charlton, on the big screen, and this great ambassador and person. Those type of people we don't have enough of in America, Charlton. It's only current leadership. We could take a page from his history.
Yeah.
We're a wonderful country.
Well, Big C, I want to tell you that is a very true thing, a great statement to make, because every time you talk about, and I also want to say today is Black History Month, and it's February the 20th, 2017, and when you talk about Sidney Poitier, someone who actually, like the Tuskegee Airmen, they did it against all odds, and they did it without a lot of favor. Can you imagine in a great country like the United States of America, the onus has always been put on black society when it comes to I guess, getting along with white society? It's always about, like you were the elephant in the room, and now we're supposed to be a Christian country, Big C. So why is it always like the elephant in the room when white people have to be decent and allow blacks or Hispanics to be a part of the culture? Big C, your thoughts?
You look at Sidney Poitier, Charlton, and here's a man who was such a dynamic actor in person.
Yeah.
Who's done these roles, and you think about it, he's 90 years old, so he's been on the big screen for 70 years of his life.
Yeah.
Playing, all types of scenes.
Yeah.
And he's only won one Oscar in that time, and the one Oscar that he won, people would have never thought that was a role he got nominated for, Charlton. But the character, as Dr. King would say, the content of his character,
yeah,
meant so much. And, he did something, and it just seemed normal for him in roles that he played.
Yeah.
And it's like what you said, if you look at it from a white perspective, but he did okay in that role.
Yeah.
And, there wasn't a role that he played, whether it was a comedic role, a serious role, a dramatic role, Charlton.
Yeah.
That he was not an expert in. He did not take his craft seriously. That's what you respect about a man like that.
Well, I tell you, and it's interesting because in our society, just like the things we're going through today, that's nothing compared to what happened during the Civil Rights Movement, and people were still making great things happen. I want to say today's segment is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by it and test drive it, tell them that Charlton and Big C sent you. Big C, if you have the Escalade out here in the Golden State, they have parts of Interstate 5 that are underwater, Big C. Could the Escalade drive around in the water, Big C? Is it kind of like a boat, Big C? Yeah. That's funny, Big C. But we have so much water out here in California. We know we need it, but my goodness, it's all coming at one good time. But I just want to touch a little bit on Sidney Poitier, and as we get into the All-Star game and a few other things that's happening in the world of sports. And it's just something that brings to my mind during Black History Month. And I'm so proud to be African American. I'm so proud to be an American. And I just think about some of the things that our society has to overcome. We're looking at the 75th year anniversary of the Japanese internment camps in the United States of America. Now, I think that is something that we all got to keep in mind, that even Ronald Reagan apologized for it, saying it was wrong. But we have the same kind of thing happening right now with the immigrants being picked up by the Trump administration and taken back to Mexico, Big C. No one's taking anyone back to Europe or Russia. But just your thoughts on what Sidney Poitier went through just to become an actor in mainly white Hollywood, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, you think about it. He's a Bohemian American, okay? So
yeah.
He was an immigrant to this country. by the White House, he would not have the chance to become this great American icon.
Yeah.
And not just because he's Bohemian or black. This is what he captured. He brought his art form to America, to the land of the free, the home of the brave, which we're allowed to exercise over here in that country at that time without bail, without people saying something negative about you, Charlton. And Sidney Poitier has lasted for decades in Hollywood, Charlton. And, when we look at our current administration, and I hear this term, radical Islamic terrorists, okay? And when I think about terrorists, Charlton, I got to think about the largest heinous acts of terrorism that's ever been done on American soil, Charlton. And we can start with the most recent one. Where we were in the church in South Carolina. That's a terrorist act, Charlton. My white kid, I got to go back to Sandy Hook Middle School, Charlton. Where you go in and you kill 22 preschoolers, Charlton. That's a heinous act by white America, Charlton. I want to look at the theater in Colorado, rural Colorado, Charlton. That was a terrorist act by a white guy, Charlton, where 96 people were shot. I want to look at Columbine, Charlton, a high school where this seems to have all started in Colorado, where that was a heinous act by 2 white guys. And let's go back to a federal offense, Charlton. The Edward Murrow building in Oklahoma City. It was blown up by Timothy McVeigh. That was a terrorist act by a white guy. But no one, especially our president, doesn't look at whites killing multiple people here in America as a terrorist act. He's just saying that's boys being boys, just like he would say grabbing a woman in the crotch says locker room talk. That's how he looks at it, Jonathan.
I tell you what, Big C, when you think about it, I'm so honored that the NBA is spending time showing America what diversity is. When we had the All-Star game just down in New Orleans, and hopefully you got all of those beads vacuumed out of your well, I can't say hair, but at least out of the shoes or something. Where do the beads fall? That's funny, Big C. But we show the whole world how great society is when we're integrated. Now I know some people don't want that. They couldn't care less about that. But I love saying that Dr. Gregor Mendel, considered the father of genetics, he opined that all life came from Africa. And he also opined that there's a dominant and a recessive trait, and what they call, to be South America about it, the black gene can reproduce every color on the planet. The white gene cannot. It's called dominant and recessive. And also, Dr. Leakey was considered the world's foremost anthropologist, the father of anthropology. He also opined that all human life came from Africa, from one continent. There's only one species of man. There's not 3 or 4 different species. We just have different skin melanin. And I bring that up because we talked about the great Sidney Poitier, and I remember that movie. He had Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. There's another movie out similar to it where they act like it's an anomaly for a white culture who came from black people. If you know your science, that's an undisputed fact. They act like there's something wrong when black Americans show up. Well, Dr. Martin Luther King, we all say we love him, but he preached on equality for everybody, Big C. So whether it's Poitier or the NBA basketball, I think the world got to see how important inclusion is and how beautiful it can be. Does that make any sense?
Calvin, it makes wonderful sense. As we talk about Sidney Poitier, he's the oldest living Best Actor winner of an Oscar in the world right now. And longevity comes from being right about a lot of things that you do. And as a person, the way you live, the way you carry yourself, he personifies all that. And when we look at how so many people in America now are trying to undermine other people. When we think about this talk of, rolling back Obamacare, how many lives is that going to cost Americans, Charles?
A lot.
This is what all these people are not thinking. When you take health insurance away from 20 million people, all of a sudden 20 million people can't go to the doctor now. I know a lot of people have great jobs with great benefits, Charles, but there's also that many jobs that don't have benefits in America. And families that don't have them. These are the things you got to think about, your fellow American. I mean, athletes. Take them for example. All athletes have the best medical insurance you can have, provided by their teams, Charlton, whether it's football, basketball.
Until they get cut. Until they get cut, Big C.
Well, until they get cut. Let's send the unemployed out there looking with Obamacare like everybody. But, while they're employed, if you have surgery, you can have your
Yeah.
as a professional athlete. You don't have to wait in line for 6 weeks, okay?
Yeah.
You get that automatically. It's taking care of that day, if not the next day. All of these things apply to athletes. Athletes get the best of everything. Just like if you're a CEO of a company, you're going to tell me anybody on this cabinet can't afford the most elitist surgeons or doctors.
Yeah.
You're a billionaire.
Yeah.
But, these people who voted for him, tell me how many people voted for Trump did not sign up for Obamacare.
Yeah, that's true.
They needed insurance.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, people. So when he takes away your Obamacare, which you didn't realize was the Affordable Care Act,
Yeah.
what are you going to do at that point? We're going to replace it with something else. Going to be far, far better. How far better is affordable insurance, Charles?
Yeah.
I mean, the word that he utilizes all that, just like this so-called attack in Sweden that he threw out that he heard on Fox News
Yeah.
without listening to his security people.
Yeah.
And sounding like a buffoon.
Yeah.
Nothing had happened in Sweden. Their prime minister is like, what's the problem over here?
Well, Big C, that's a great point you bring up, and you just brought something to my mind. Where is Kellyanne Conway lately? Have you seen her lately?
She's been quiet as a church mouse, okay?
Yeah.
Because, he was just telling the alternative truth. She was letting Donald tell the alternative truth for himself.
Yeah.
So she was letting Donald do his own lie, and I'd be so glad when he just say he's going to tell his own lie.
Yeah.
Because he leaves all those people scrambling for excuses every time he opens his mouth.
Yeah. That's funny.
People don't realize how eloquent and professional President Obama was.
Yeah.
They really don't. And they're embarrassed to say how he was now because they listen to this jokester talk all the time. I mean, he's over the rally down in Florida.
I thought the election was over.
Well, there were more people outside the perimeter than there were in the perimeter.
Yeah.
And then I'm looking at these people that's holding these posters up, Charles.
Yeah.
And these people were paid to hold these posters up, just like they were when he announced his candidacy for presidency.
Yeah.
He hires an acting firm
Yeah.
to bring in stand-ins. And so you bring in 1,000 stand-ins, you make up these posters. I mean, the posters that they make, it's like what my daughter used to make when they were in preschool.
Yeah.
Look like. At least make the line straight.
Yeah. Well, don't tell the daughter that the lines weren't straight enough, Big C. And speaking of straight lines, this segment is sponsored by the California Lottery. Big C, hold on to your pants. The lotto was won by Big C Sports. Over $400 million called the Powerball, and that's coming up on Wednesday. Now, I know they'll make those lines straight so they got $400 million. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, I can buy a lot of presidents, donate the president these characters. That wrong is where it's saying. If he's lucky enough to finish out his first term, John,
Yeah.
all that little wraparound will be gone.
Yeah. Well, there's already
I would just love for him to show some honesty one time.
Yeah.
Stop telling the media that they're fake and that they're dishonest because we're part of the media, Charles.
Yeah.
I don't care how you look at it. Sports is part of the media. We bring news and information to the masses. They rely on us for our integrity and our honesty.
Yeah.
And you can't keep talking about everybody that's honest and that's fake because you're the messenger. It's like the little boy who cried wolf. I think we all know that nursery rhyme.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He cried wolf so much that when the wolf showed up, no one believed him anymore.
Yeah.
And so that's the type of thing we're facing with our presidency right now.
Well,
we got the little boys crying wolf against everybody who is being honest.
Well, there's a judge out there asking for impeachment proceedings against Trump if they can validate the fact that some things that are going on with the Russians in this election are true. And we all know it's true, even though we have the House and Senate controlled by Republicans.
Well, Charles,
Yeah.
think about this. The third Russian official died last night in New York.
Wow.
This election, okay? Who died in Russia? The Russian ambassador to the UN died last night in New York, mysteriously.
Yeah.
64 years old. The day before his birthday, all of a sudden, killed over there.
Yeah.
It's ironic that 3 high-ranking officials in Russia have passed the racist all these allegations of Russian tampering into the election. So it makes you wonder.
Yeah.
Why so many Russians dying now, and they're not dying of violent crimes?
Well, Big C, I guess when Donald Trump wants to build that wall, he's got to start building it in the Atlantic Ocean, Big C, if you think about that. And speaking of building walls, we know we talked about the All-Star game, we talked about Sidney Poitier's birthday, we talked about the Japanese internment camps and how the United States interned Japanese Americans, and it was wrong. And even Ronald Reagan, the greatest Republican president in modern times, he said it was wrong. He apologized. And he told Gorbachev to tear down that wall. So obviously Donald Trump is not even in line with those guys. But I want to ask you a kind of a story that, talking about building walls and relationships and tearing down walls. Last night after the All-Star game, we have the Sacramento Kings and the New Orleans Pelicans making a trade. And DeMarcus Cousins is going to New Orleans, and he's the all-star center out of the Sacramento Kings. They're getting Tyreek Evans and a couple of good old boys that come in from New Orleans and some draft picks, Big C. I think it's an excellent move for New Orleans. I don't see what Sacramento got out of it, but they can try to get the culture right, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, I think Sacramento will end up with a better part of the trade, Charlton. You got to look at the last time that Sacramento made the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think they had a guy named Chris Webber playing for them, okay?
Yeah.
And they didn't go too far then. So you got to look at, you've had this guy that has really not enhanced the franchise.
Yeah.
He's brought a lot of attention to himself, but, the franchise has been going into disarray.
Yeah.
They've lost a number of head coaches. Players are not willing to come in during free agency.
Yeah.
And it's because of one individual.
Yeah.
I got to look at this, Charlton. You got a head coach there.
Yeah.
Alvin Gentry. Is John Calipari on the hotline right now about coming to New Orleans coaching?
Wow.
Because he recruited both of these guys down into Kentucky, all right?
Yeah.
So he knows, he said they're both great individuals. We haven't had any problems out of Davis. But your next door neighbor Cousins, we've heard a lot of stuff about him.
Yeah. Yeah.
So is John Calipari the only guy that can coach both of these guys together? You got to look at the tandems of big men in the NBA, Charlton, and those who've had success and those who haven't had success. Okay,
Yeah.
Charlton?
Yeah.
The first one that not many people know about, the first tandem of big men in the NBA was Wilt Chamberlain and Nate Thurman, Charlton.
Oh, yeah.
They were on the same team together.
Yeah.
People don't realize that they were on the same team together. But then when you look at more modern times, Charlton, you got to look at the duel of Ralph Sampson and Hakeem Olajuwon.
Yeah.
Okay, because Ralph liked playing on the perimeter, Hakeem liked playing down below. Then you look at Kevin McHale and Robert Parrish in Boston, Charlton.
Yeah.
7 foot, 6'11". And McHale was more of a perimeter player than what the Chiefs was, who wanted to play in the paint.
Yeah.
You look at San Antonio with the Arrow and Tim Duncan.
Yeah.
And that led to an NBA championship, just like down in Boston led to an NBA championship. So it's going to need some tinkering. I know Davis likes to play more outside, Cousin wants to play in the middle, but you need a point guard, Charlton. That's what you need more than anything else. You need a point guard. You look at the Celtics, they were winning championships. They had Dennis Johnson
Yeah.
at point guard. Okay, somebody who could distribute, who had the mindset to say, you get your butt over here, you get your butt down there, and I'll get you the ball.
Yeah.
Okay? That's what you need. And without having that point guard, Charlton, you're not going to get to that point. And that's the thing that New Orleans doesn't have right now. Now, you got to realize Chris Paul will be a free agent at the end of this season.
Yeah.
He started his career in New Orleans. Now, will this be a likely place that he goes back to? Now they got these two big bodies. If he does, it could be a growing franchise. If not, they'll be wilding with the 8th or 9th position in the West. Charles.
Well, Big C, ironically, when you watched the NBA All-Star game last night, we go about another 12 minutes. I looked at Isaiah Thomas, who was an All-Star, and Boogie Cousins an All-Star, but they were both on the Sacramento Kings at one time. And the reason that, you think about it, just talk around Sacramento media, the reasons that they got rid of Thomas is because of Boogie Cousins. He didn't want him there. He didn't want someone there taking up the limelight who could be able to help the team get better. He wanted to be the star. And ironically, there's just talk behind the scenes. It reminds me of back in the day with the Oakland Raiders. They had a quarterback that nobody liked. And a lot of people didn't want to be under Jeff George. He was just not easy to get along with. And so it was hard for the Raiders to win back then. And I look at Boogie Cousins, and I look at what happened with Matt Barnes in that hotel. Not a hotel, but I guess a bar in New York City about 3 o'clock in the morning. They had a fight, and they were brought up on some charges. That's not washed out yet, Big C. There's still some action that's going to happen on that. And the Kings also let go of Matt Barnes today. It's as if they didn't want the baggage that may be coming down the road. So you're right. Maybe the Kings got the better end of that deal because they got the cancer. They cut out the cancer today, and a lot of the fans, they're upset that they didn't keep this guy around that was just belittling to the media, belittling to the play-by-play broadcasters. Now, I think one guy that was wrong out of here is the play-by-play guy, Grant Napier, because he also turned on Cousins in the media. If you're working for the organization, why do you want to blast the guy in social media? Do it during the game, but don't go on to Twitter about it. He did the same thing to Chris Webber, who's going to be a Hall of Famer. So Grant Napier's part of the problem, too. He's part of the broadcast out here, but when you have your own broadcast crew going on social media, is that outside the box, Big C? Isn't that something that should be kept in-house, Big C?
Well, you should limit your broadcast team's personal opinion. You're representing the organization, and then you're going outside the organization to make these brash comments, Charlton. It's almost like if you feel that brash about it, make it in the player's face.
Yeah, in his face.
Not threatening or whatever, just make it in his face.
Yeah.
So he'll have a chance to answer you directly.
Yeah.
And so when you have these broadcasters who can always hide behind what they can say on the mic, and say that's representation of the team. No, it's not. It's representation of you.
Yeah, it's a personal vendetta.
It's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
And it's like when I was talking about Calipari. Will he be open to coach New Orleans next year? I think he opened the door with some comments he made over the weekend about SEC firing coaches.
Yeah. Oh, the clause. He wants the clause in there, Big C?
You get these defamation clauses, but I like what Calipari said regardless, Charlton, because why do you let a coach 3/4 of the games and then all of a sudden you want to fire him, Charlton?
Yeah.
With 2 weeks to go in the season. It doesn't make any sense. It's not going to heighten your recruiting aspects, but what it does, it disrupts what you have left of a team. Every team, Charlton, is not going to win the conference championship.
Yeah.
Every team is not going to make the NCAA or the NIT. If you have coaches that are limited, they all don't have the draw appeal
Yeah.
that some of the major universities have. But to go out and just cast these coaches away, at least let them finish the season. The thing I've never understood about college football, pro football, college basketball, pro basketball.
Yeah.
Why do you let a coach go and you still owe him $10 million?
Yeah.
Yeah, he wants the $10 million, but he wants to coach even more. Just let him finish out the year if you're not going to let him finish out the contract. We saw that with Charlie Strong in Texas.
Yeah.
You held on to him for the entire season. You could have got rid of him at any point. You knew you were going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
But his season at Texas was no different than Kelly's season at Notre Dame.
Yeah.
They weren't calling for Kelly. He had all season long at Notre Dame. Oh, but my bad, Charlie Strong was black, Kelly was white.
well, we know that race still matters in this country, Big C. I want to say this segment is sponsored by United Labor, guaranteed $100,000 medical insurance, life insurance without any medical questions. And also we are endorsed by the American Heart Association and the American Cancer Society. We work with all of the unions in the country under the AFL-CIO, and we're looking to hire over 1,000 licensed insurance brokers because we simply want to put people back to work. So, Big C, when I talk about what's happening with the Kings and what's happening with New Orleans, obviously both franchises are sub-25 wins on the season, Big C. I think the Kings have just about 2 more wins than the Pelicans, but that could turn around. But something that's important is that the business of sports, even Vlade Divac, I guess DeMarcus Cousins didn't find out he was traded until he was doing his press conference and someone told him about it. So when you're an organization and you're telling these guys to trust you and that you have their best interest in mind, if you can't even be square with the guy and say, look, we're looking to trade you, I just want to tell you first because I have respect for you. Now keep in mind this whole thing with Westbrook and also Durant. There's some upset feelings because I guess Durant didn't tell Westbrook he was being traded or gonna go to the Golden State Warriors. And the media made so much noise about that. But Vlade Divac did the same thing to Marcus Cousins. He had to find out that he was traded from what media is saying when he was there giving his press conference. That's not respect. That's not going to get you a way to earn respect from the fellow players throughout the league that want to come play for you. Does that make any sense, Big C?
Well, Charlton, I don't know if you can call for respect in Cousins' scenario because look how he's disrespected everybody.
Yeah.
He's disrespected the organization. He's disrespected every coach. He's disrespected every teammate that he's had.
Yeah.
I mean, he has undermined
Yeah.
You know, he leads the league in technical fouls, Charlton.
Yeah.
So this is a guy you just get rid of.
Yeah.
You take whatever somebody's wanting to offer you in a trade. Yes, he's an all-star, 3-time all-star, Charlton, but he's 3 times in trouble also.
Yeah.
So how much damn trouble can an organization want to take for a player? You know, you take all this, what is it, 4-year pro now, 5-year pro?
Yeah.
How many times have they made the playoffs since he's been there?
Yeah, he's been 7 years, Big C. 7 years, and he's been at a couple All-Star games.
Okay, but how many times has the team made the playoffs?
0.
0. Okay, so if they're not making the playoffs after 7 years of crap from this player, Charlton,
Yeah.
then it's time to go. You know, I don't care about being an all-star, but that's an individual thing.
Yeah.
Okay, how many times have you made your team better in 7 years, and you're supposed to be one of the legitimate big men in the NBA, Charlton?
Yeah.
You look around the NBA of teams with big men, Charlton, legitimate big men.
Yeah.
See how many of them have made the playoffs.
Yeah.
This is the only team in the NBA with a legitimate big man, Charlton, who has not made the playoffs. So is he a benefit to the team?
Wow.
He was a cancer. So you get rid of him and you bring in some pieces, Charlton, that you hope upgrade this franchise and get them on the playoff hunt.
Yeah.
You're really going to find out his pedigree once he goes down to New Orleans because you got Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
Another brilliant all-star big man. And will they be able to match? Just like I said with Hakeem Olajuwon and Ralph Sampson, David Robinson and Tim Duncan, they won a championship within the first couple of years.
Yeah.
Of those two being together. You look at the Chiefs and McHale.
Yeah, Kevin McHale. Yeah.
They won three championships, Charlton. These big men were able to mesh. It wasn't about ego. It was about the team concept. Cousins hasn't understood the team concept, Charlton. At any point in his life, even when he was at Kentucky, he didn't understand the team concept.
Yeah.
In high school, you knew the hell Willie was a team player. He was a hog. And it's been that way with Sacramento. He doesn't understand the team concept. He needs the coach that can coach him. And maybe Calipari is the only guy, if you let him move out of your gated community, can come out there and coach you.
Well, Calipari only had him for 1 year, too, Big C, so he didn't, and obviously he didn't have the money to stand up to Calipari back in the day, at least not the kind of money we knew about. I also want to say this final segment is sponsored to you by Big C Sports with Ben & Mark Insurance. We can insure any professional, any collegiate, any high school team in all 50 states, and even your mom and pop soccer leagues. Tweet out to Big C Sports on the iHeartRadio network, and also follow us on Twitter at Yes Charlton on Twitter. So Big C, after seeing this game, it was kind of much ado about nothing. I mean, a higher scoring game. I like the fact that they had a lot of open offense, just guys showcasing their skills. Like back in the day, a lot of players did that. But this talk about Westbrook and Durant having a feud, I think there was too much made about that because society wants to see some controversy. But I think more important than that feud is just guys that are focused on themselves and their careers. There's so much that they did off the court that made society better and their cities better. Westbrook and Durant back in OKC. I thought that was something that may have been missed by media, but I do appreciate when the fans and the players came together. When like this, I think Durant had the ball, tossed it back to Westbrook, and then Westbrook got the dunk, and then they called the timeout and they all kind of celebrate on the sideline. That was a good thing, Big C. So it doesn't matter if you have a feud or not. Most people don't like each other anyway, Big C. Have you seen that kind of overplayed, Big C, by the media? Your thoughts?
Who said there was a feud, Tom? Did Westbrook come out there with a feud?
No.
Did come out there with a feud? You've heard a lot of fat guys with a mic in the hand and a pencil.
Yeah.
Saying that there's a feud between Westbrook and Durant.
Yeah.
This is all you hear. You know, this is like the Bill Gates hating the guy from Apple.
Yeah. Job, yeah. Yeah.
That's what that is saying.
Yeah.
Neither one of them cared about what the other one had. They respected each other for what they did, okay, Charlie?
Yeah.
This is like Boeing hating Lockheed Martin in the aerospace industry.
McDonald's and Burger King, right? McDonald's and Burger King? Yeah.
So, you know, if I don't have anything that I can write because I'm not creative as a writer, let me say that there's a feud that they hate each other.
Yeah.
Because these guys are, you know, it's like any relationship. If you've been with a wife for 7 years, after 7 years it breaks up, you may not be amicable, but it's not that you hate each other because you built something during that 7 years. You might go your different ways, Charlton, but it's not like you have to hate each other just because the relationship is not what it once was. So, you know, I get despised every time I hear these guys talk about they hate each other, they
Right.
hate each other. I don't see them cutting
Yeah.
Doorstep, okay?
Yeah.
We're not seeing that, John. We're not seeing them, sending crap to the other one's house in the mail or fish.
Yeah.
Wrapped up in some newspapers. So,
Yeah.
the media will grow up.
Yeah.
This is all we ask, that the media grows up, and we're part of that echelon, Charlton.
Yeah.
But, there's going to be people not getting along all the time. So, with Joe Montana hate Steve Young, when he left San Francisco?
Yeah.
Was that played up in the media?
No.
Joe hates Steve Young because he had to go.
Right.
Joe knew it was a business. It was time to move on. He went and played elsewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, this has happened throughout the history of sports, Charlton. All the time there's player movement. And when there's player movement, I go back to a championship team, Charlton, in Los Angeles. When Magic Johnson was drafted by the Lakers,
Yeah.
he just came off a championship run. Okay?
Yeah.
Norm Nixon was an all-star point guard. Norm Nixon was traded when Magic Johnson came in after his first year.
Yeah.
Norm Nixon ended up with the Clippers down in San Diego. Norm Nixon was an all-star.
Yeah.
Did they hate each other? No. Norm knew they both could not coexist. That was going to be the deal.
Wow.
So they ended up drafting another guard, an all-guard, Byron Scott, after they get rid of Norm Nixon.
Yeah.
With that draft pick. That matched with what Magic did. Magic was a point. He wasn't a number two because he didn't have that great outside shot. So this has happened throughout the history of sports, Charles.
Yeah.
And it's for as I say about us, the stupid media that wants to say this.
Yeah, that's so funny. Big C, the last topic I'll touch on, and I know you got to run in a bit, but there's a program called The Undefeated. Now this is Black History Month. It's called The Undefeated Examined, and it's about race, it's about sports, and it's about culture. A lot like Big C Sports, how we bring that up, Big C, and we're not just running down scores for 30 minutes or an hour. But I want to get your opinion because we opened talking about the great Sidney Poitier. We opened talking about the NBA All-Star Game, which showed the whole world how wonderful inclusion and diversity can be, Big C. That's so important. We talked about coaches and players. If you don't have the right attitude, sometimes you just got to go. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. And when it comes to finally talking about diversity and inclusion in sports and against this anti-Donald Trump kind of xenophobic, racist, sexist behavior, I think the NBA All-Star Game, that showcased to the world what America is more so than trying to ship what they call undocumented immigrants back to a country when we did not want to do it for the Japanese during the internment camp when we did that. If you could just touch on this as we close out, Big C, and you do it better than nobody, why is it so important to not be like Tom Brady and not even have a consciousness when it comes to this? Adam Silver does, and so does Popovich and Kerr. Why is it so important to tell the world about race, sports, culture, and inclusion the same way Muhammad Ali did, Big? Your shot, Big C.
Well, Charlton, if we look at this, in Trump perspective, when we have an NBA All-Star Game, is it excluded nationalities?
No.
Because we're a worldwide game. When we have a Major League All-Star Game, is it exclude nationalities? No, because it's a worldwide game, Charlton. So people say, well, it's only against Muslim countries, Charlton. Who knows the religions of every athlete in America?
Yeah.
That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
Because some athletes may not say what their religion are, and I guarantee you half of them don't.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about excluding people based on their religion, because that's all he's talking about.
Yeah.
Is basing on religion. You should have to check that box off when you sign with a professional team.
Yeah.
It's your religious belief. Okay? Because based on what the president says, you can be deported.
Yeah.
So, see how that changes people. And I don't think that a fan is sitting out there saying, well, this guy, because of his religion, we're not going to watch him. Nobody said that about Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
Everybody clearly knew what his religion was, but they watched it. Okay? Hakeem Olajuwon.
Yeah.
With the Houston Rockets. Everybody knew what his religion was.
Yeah.
And they watched it. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Everybody knew what his religion was.
Yeah. That's so important, Big C.
And they were all there, Charlton. They all stood behind him as fans and as respect.
Yeah.
But the stupidity that's spewed out in America nowadays, Charlton, it just makes you want to grow up.
Well, Big C, I think it is so important that black men have access to the airwaves too, that black Americans who are conscious, not just the sycophant guy that's going to repeat everything the white guy says to make him happy, But it's about time that, just like the Tuskegee Airmen, if you're excellent, you're excellent. It doesn't mean you're going to be accepted. You don't have to wait for someone to accept you before you decide that you're going to be excellent. And some guys are afraid to speak their heart because they're still trying to appease the society that they know can't wait to fire them or to marginalize them, especially when you tell the truth. The fact of the matter is, the truth shall set you free. What we all need to do as a country is have engagement in real talk, and you do it unlike nobody else. No teleprompters, no production, no producing. Yeah.
Let me add this little piece, okay?
Yeah.
Since the president now has been elected,
Yeah.
there's been 73 bomb threats on Jewish mausoleums, okay, in America.
Wow.
On Jewish temples and centers in America, 73. And he wants to say that I'm not anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
You know, it's amazing how many things have occurred in this country since you told people, let's take it back to where it used to be.
Yeah.
When we can do the things we want. It's not just one race, Charlton. There's many races. You say, well, I have a son-in-law.
Yeah.
That's, Jewish.
Right.
No, you have a son-in-law that's rich. There's a difference. He wouldn't be your son-in-law if he wasn't rich to marry your daughter.
Yeah.
Let's be honest about that, okay?
You sure he didn't hire one of those guys that worked on his golf course to marry her, Big C?
Yeah, he didn't have one of the groundskeepers say that.
But what about love, Big C? Doesn't love matter, Big C?
Money does, Charlton.
Okay.
We're not just the Muslim centers, Charlton, and it's a deflection of what has happened to the Jewish centers, Charlton, to that culture of people.
Yeah.
They're under attack in America.
Yeah.
They're under attack before, now they're under attack again. They have not seen this attack on the Jewish population in America since World War II, Charlton.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
It has not happened. So you think about how much peace has gone through over the decades, but now since his election, 73 attacks on Jewish citizens in America, Charlton. That's the most since World War II.
Wow.
So all these things have to be explanation about it. Think about the number of Jewish athletes we have, Charlton.
Yeah.
In America, baseball, basketball, football, they exist. They're part of the American culture.
Yeah.
So to say that I am not anti-Semitic, it'd be nice if you just spoke up and told the truth one time.
Yeah.
That all of your rhetoric has caused these problems in America.
Yeah.
And I wonder how much can America take of the problems that he's causing before we have a tremendous revolt against what he stands for.
Well, I've never heard anyone talking about a nuclear holocaust when it comes to why he won't stand up to Russia, Big C. I've never heard anyone saying that it's okay to deport people, Big C, because they're human beings. They're not illegal aliens. And what would have happened if the Native Americans would have decided to treat white Americans the same way this white American president wants to treat, Hispanics, Big C? And it doesn't make any sense because fair is fair. We all have one planet. We all got to get along. And if politics won't bring us together, Big C Sports will do it. And we'll do it every Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time worldwide. Follow Big C Sports on the iHeartRadio network, the #1 network in the United States. And also Big C Sports will bring it to you on the iHeartRadio network. We also want to tell you there's never any room for any type of domestic violence. No reason to ever grab a woman by the crotch and say just lock her up and talk. If you see someone going through garbage, call 911 so she doesn't have to go through that stuff all on her own. As we always tell you through every broadcast, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.